See, I told y'all Instagram just does me so dirty. So I'm gonna go back and let's see if I can get my guest back on. So let's see. Thank you guys for coming back on. We're gonna see if we can get my guest back on. Hey Michael, thank you
Hey,
so much.
we're back.
Listen, I told you like Instagram does me dirty sometimes. Like it just
I,
it just does. It doesn't like me sometimes. It just doesn't like me sometimes. That's it. I gotta accept it. I gotta accept it. I think what it's pushing me to go back into that studio is what it's doing. That's
that's
what this
probably
is.
what it's doing.
Listen, that's what this message is sending me.
Just
Like,
get
just go ahead and go back into the studio. just go. This is not the place for you. Go to the studio. So,
right. Right. Hey,
so
hey, God,
I
hey, we be trying to stay local. God be trying to get you international.
listen.
He,
Listen,
he
this
kicking
is
you out
what
the
I'm saying. Like God was like, yeah, you go ahead and tell the story because you're supposed to have been a motivational speaker a long time ago. So you go ahead, you tell this little story. Now see what happened when I don't let you speak. Now see how I
right.
hurt you when I don't let you speak. Like I just feel like it's like get it together, sis. Like good sis, I have blessed you with this gift. Go ahead and use it. So yeah, we definitely we got to collaborate with that. Like I was just gonna share just that moment of being able, like my first time speaking to athletes, and it's like wow, because I don't know if you know, but I am in education. Like I'm an educational leader, and so I started off as a substitute teacher while praying to God, like God, you sure you want me to go into education? Because I literally am trying to get into broadcasting. Like, are you sure that
Wow.
education is really where you want me to be? And
Right.
so, all the way up to like getting a principal indoor like certification. And so so I've been at a lot of levels when it comes to education. And so like I love the kids too. And it's so interesting to be able to speak to sports teams because my sports team was trying to get the kids ready for FSA and like giving them like that pep talk of this is what you need to do. So I'm going to motivate you. I'm going to inspire you to do it and all of that. And so it's just like it's the same formula when you're speaking to teams. And so I asked you what was your the favorite one that you like to or favorite engagement that you like to speak at in terms of using your motivational prowess, and it was speaking to kids. So I'm glad to hear that because they need to hear it.
Oh
They need
yeah.
to hear it at
Yeah.
all levels.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so before we do get out of here, what I really wanted you to do is give us a quick formula from your toolbox. When someone's feeling depleted, you've already shared it earlier in the podcast, but when someone's feeling depleted, when we don't have that I guess the ability to motivate ourselves intrinsically, what's your advice for that?
I would say first and foremost, and we talk about this all the time, especially on the podcast. First of all, is acknowledgement, because a lot of times we don't, we have a sense of falsehood in acknowledging where we are, and sometimes you just got to take a step back. So it's just like an arrow. In order to be launched forward, it has to be pulled back. And
Mm-hmm.
so you have to be willing to pull back as well. There are days I actually put on my calendar self days. Like,
Yeah.
don't bother me on it. They be like, hey man, I was trying to get a hold of you. Like, I know I get back to you when I'm ready. Because when you get to that place where you feel depleted, then you have to draw back. You know what I'm saying? And that goes to the circle that you provide around yourself. So it's just like a dead battery. You can't jump a dead battery with another dead battery. You gotta jump a dead battery with another battery that has life. So it is with us. You know what I'm saying? You got to get
Yeah.
around some life. So when you're feeling depleted, that's why your circle is so important. It sounds cliche, but at the end of the day, when you feel like throwing in the towel and you got people that's in your circle that really care about you, your gift, and not just your gift, but care about you and your gift and what
Right.
you're doing and what you bring to the world. Those are life savers. You got to stay
Yeah.
connected with the right relationships and resources in your life, so that way when you feel depleted, you know how to get filled back up. Because when you don't know how to get filled back up, then that's a dangerous place to be in. You know what I'm
It
saying?
is.
It's a bad place to be on the side of the road knowing you need gas and there ain't a gas station within 10 miles.
Very true. A great analogy and very true. Very, very true.
You
Yes,
know, yeah.
yes,
So I got my Fab Five. You know, I got a handful of people. I share with the kids. Especially I deal with a lot of young men. I share with them. I said, listen, man. I said I'm 45 years old, right? And I just got to the point to where when my wife asked me, babe, are you okay? That I can honestly tell her no without being pride. Because back in the day, back in all those other years, it's pride, you know, because I got to be
yeah,
the man. Got to be,
yeah,
I've just gotten to that point to where she say, well, babe, are you okay? That I can say no. No,
yeah,
I'm not. I need a replenish day. I need this. I need that. You know what I'm saying? So acknowledging being honest where you are, and then making sure you got the right tools and resources and people around you to help jump you off when you feel like
yeah.
you're dying out.
I love that, and that's great advice. Talk to me
Mhm.
about. I know that I said that was going to be like before we go, but no, you mentioned
You
the
good? You good?
podcast,
You good?
and so
You
you got to
good?
shout your fellas out because y'all started a podcast. I got to show you love on that front since we are fellow podcasters. So tell us about your podcast, how we can listen, how can we support you in that venture, and what's your podcast about?
Well, hey, my podcast is basically about what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Setback to a come up. Just talking about what it takes to be successful in this thing called life. It's called the blueprint to success.
yeah,
And I always say this: there's no secret to success, only a blueprint.
yeah,
And you know what I'm saying. So we talk about life struggles, what it takes to make it in this world. We talk about our own struggles, our journey, different things of that nature. What we feel led to share from different aspects of life. All three of us have a separate journey, but we've been brothers for God knows how long. Boy Wonder, the one that sits to the right of me, he's actually my blood brother, and Alexander is my brother from another mother, I call it. And we just go in and encourage people, motivate people. We've actually I showed them a message that somebody had sent me, and I was like, hey, listen, this is what somebody put in the message about what the podcast has been doing for me. We've gotten a few messages like that. And so that just kind of, and one thing I told him, I said, man, I don't care how big or how small the audience is. This is what I feel led to do at the time. So that stuff don't matter to me, but it does help, you
yes,
know. Yeah.
yes.
So we started that, and you got time? You have a few minutes?
I do. If Instagram loves me still,
So here's how that came about, right? Because
okay,
um, we had this has been years in the making, and we just started this last year. So Alexander and my brother, they're gospel hip hop rap artists.
okay,
So they got booked for a college tour fundraiser. So this is actually another impactful event. This is number two. I would say this is gonna be number two. Um, and what was it? Clearwater. We was in Clearwater, and it was actually sponsored by the Church of Scientology. So I learned a whole new facet dealing with them, and it was some great stuff. And Alexander's sister was with the church that actually owned a nonprofit, I think it was, that put on the college tour fundraiser for the kids.
hmm
And so they hired them to come in and do the music part, music and entertainment. So Alexander was like, hey, do y'all have a motivational speaker? And they was like, no, we don't have a speaker. And he was like,
yeah,
well, y'all need to get one. And I know the perfect guy. And he kept going back and forth to them, and they was like, well, no priority. He was like, y'all need to get a speaker. And I said, yeah, the college tour. I say, even if they don't bring me in, they need to bring a speaker in. And
yeah,
I said, I tell you what, I said, if they worried about money, I say it's for the kids. I say, so tell them I'll come and do it for the kids. It's whatever. And believe it or not, that didn't even move. So so he went back to the drawing board, and then finally they pulled it, and they pulled the green light, so we did it. And so we're sitting in the dressing room, me, Boy One, Alexander, Alex, and we was like, this is like a serene moment. And that's where all of this birthed. Because the book that I have is called The Blueprint to Success. Everything was stamped that night. It's like God used Alexander to open up a door that birthed all of this right here. And so,
yeah,
because what happened was they went on stage before I did, and so I was the last person. And I was like, man, we need to do something with this. And that's when all the juices started flowing. And then I was like, man, I said, I'm gonna do we'll do a podcast. And so that's how kind of like all of that came about. But just like being in that environment, when I say that was probably one of my most prestigious engagements, because it was this tall, huge building in Clearwater from, I don't know how many floors it had, but it was actually owned by the Church of Scientology. And so the way they had everything set up, it was like a Grammy Awards. So if you go to my website and you see me in a silver suit and they got like a lot of gold curtains and stuff, that was that engagement. And so many people had walked up to me at the end of that engagement was talking about how they inspired with the words of encouragement that I said, that they needed, not only that they needed to hear it, but some of the kids definitely needed to hear it. And man, that's how everything was kind of perfect. But I sat on it because it wasn't the right time, because my brother, he was constantly in and out of the road. Alexander had his thing going on, and I had my thing going on, so it just wasn't the right time. And then plus my brother was a co-host to 2 other podcasts. Yeah. So it just wasn't the right time. So when he got free, I was just like, oh, it's the right time. And then that's how we went at it. Yeah. So I didn't look at.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I think
I said I didn't look at. I didn't let, because I said you can go back in my notebook. I had this in my notebook for years, so I'm not jumping on the bandwagon of podcasters just to do it. I said this was something that was already, and I was just waiting for the right season to crack it open. So
that's how it typically works. That's how it typically works. And that's why I said, like, even with the font that I was in today, I'm like, really? Because now I clearly heard him say, like, really, like, this is something that you wanted to do. You know, like you did radio in college, like you've always wanted to do this. You've always wanted your own show. And it was just a divine intervention, like the way that I even did this podcast, because my podcast celebrates the power of the comeback. And that whole premise of the comeback, that just has been a message that has resonated with me, just, you know, with me having my first son, who's actually, you know, 15 now. And it's just like I used to always call him my comeback kid, because he would just do like this. It's like I always had to constantly motivate him or figure out what the formula for this year is going to be for his success. And then I turned it into an initiative at my school. And like I would call my kids like comeback kids, you know, when they would increase their scores, when they would increase their reading. So it just became like a whole initiative.
Yeah,
when I got my principal endorsement, my whole project was about every kid deserves a comeback story. And then I went through my trial, you know, in tribulations, like my big trial and tribulation in life. And all that just kept resonating with me was, now is the time to make a dope comeback, Jazz. Like, you got to make your comeback. Like, you've been motivating everybody else to do it, so let's get it. Like, you make your comeback. And so that's how the premise of this whole podcast started. So, like, you'll be sitting on it, but you already know you have it. Like, you know the message, and it just becomes, you know, it comes to you. So I cannot wait to be afforded the opportunity to collaborate with you. Even with your podcast, with what you have, you may be mentoring me when it comes to speaking and all of that good stuff. And then it may be an opportunity for you to come and speak to the kids at my school. So, you know, like, I feel that everything is divinely linked. And so I'm just looking forward to it. And just thank you so much for accepting this invitation. Shout out to Whitney Sims for making it tag you in the comments. Like, she was the glue that made this happen tonight. And so I appreciate it. Mad shout out to your wife, because listen, sis is that girl. I can tell right now, sis is the one.
She her.
Sis, she her. I need to meet wifey as well, because, you know, sometimes people in the background don't get that credit. But, ma'am, I'm giving you your credit. You know, like what we're looking at right now, you know, you have a great man because you are a great woman. And so I really want the two of you to be blessed in all of your ventures. Thank you so much for entrusting my podcast with your story. Like, you shared, you know, intimate details from your life. Not all of them. I ain't get all of them. I can feel it, but you're gonna come back on me. But I appreciate that, because in our vulnerability, in our realness, that's why I was like, tell him to come back and tell the real story. but in your realness, like you truly bless people with your story. And
yeah,
so
I got a PhD in comeback. I mean, I know we're living,
that's
so
right.
I done been, man, me and my wife done been through so much.
I need you to make that shirt. I need you to make that shirt. I need that shirt. Like, I know you came up with the slogan, but we got to work out a deal here because you using the word comeback. That is so dope. I have a PhD in comebacks. God dang it, I want that on a shirt, on a hat. Today. I am so serious. Like, as soon as you said it, it's just like I see it on the shirt. I see it on the hat, man. Let's look.
We'll talk.
Let's go ahead.
We got some further talking to do after this right here. Hey, it only takes a spark to start fire. We've been working the whole
season. Sell out with this apparel. I love that, man. That's so dope, man. You just made my night. Like, you truly just made my night. Seriously, with that.
Thank you for the invite.
You gotta tell everybody how to listen to the podcast as well. We know how to go on your website, but tell us how to listen to your podcast, the frequency of it, and then how to book you for speaking engagements, because all of that is on the website that you gave.
Yes, you can go to www.shiftmotivations.com. That's my general website. It has all the links to everything. But the podcast is on all podcast listening platforms, Spotify, Apple, you know what I'm saying? So you can also go to YouTube. We're on every Wednesday at 6 p.m. So and I would encourage you to go back where this Wednesday will be episode 55. So we're actually 54 in right now. But I encourage you to go back to that first one. Really set the pace for everything, and we talk about the power of momentum, and I talk about how God gave me, some insight on the power of momentum on the trip to Jackson, on my way to a trip to Jackson. I think Jacksonville or Tallahassee, one of the two. And but yeah, you can find us online, and I guarantee you'll love some of the content that we have out there. So
you definitely, as soon as we get off of this episode, you have a new subscriber. And so I really want to, God dog it, I have a PhD in comebacks. My pen. Look, where's my sewing machine right now? God dog it, where's my needle and thread? I'm about to put it right here. I love that so much.
See, this is how important collaboration is, because, like, when God gave me my name, I was in Del Toro's boot camp, and there was a black female that he had. What was her name? It was just on the tip of my tongue. My mind just went blank. Lethea Owens, that's her name. Okay. Lethea Owens, and because like I said, I'm always grateful and impressed when we see us in spaces. And she still is. She's a high profile person in her space with branding and stuff like that. And it was on one of those virtual calls where he virtual in, and she was going around the table to each and every one of us, just giving us pointers. Mm-hmm. And when she got to me, she said, she had her pen like this. She said, and she's a believer too. She said, She said, you need to do something with the word shift. And that's all she said. And she did this right here. She said, well, I don't have much time, but you need to do something with the word shift. And she went on to the next person.
Yeah.
So like I said, it don't take a spark to start a fire. So let's learn to say
thank you. Dang it, I'm telling you, I love that so much. Like,
hey, that's my gift to you. Print it up.
Listen, I appreciate it. Quality Uniform Solutions. And his wife was on earlier. Print that. Let me get that copyrighted. Today, it was gifted.
I got to call them and say, hey, bro, I need some more of these.
Right. They'll get you too. They'll get you right. They'll get you right. So, man, listen, this has really blessed my heart. It really has. I hope it inspires you guys. I hope it motivates you guys. I hope that it serves a purpose. And I know that it is. Like I'm saying, I hope, but I already know. Like I'm convinced I'm convicted of it. I know that this is purpose work. You know, when you live in your passion, when you live in your purpose, there's always going to be a great outcome of it. And you know, we all go through our funks, we all go through our little down seasons, but we got to get back up. Got to get back up again, right? So listen, this has been another great Monday. This has been episode 105 of the Jazzy Conversations with Jazz podcast. I want you to go ahead and subscribe, follow, like, review, and hit that notifications bell on YouTube, all of your podcast platforms, on IG and on Facebook. You make sure that you follow Michael's podcast. I'm going to let you go ahead and advertise for it one more time. Catch them every Wednesday at 6 p.m. The name of the podcast and on the podcast platforms. Michael, you can take it away and do it one more time. Do another shout out for your podcast and business.
Hey, once again, Jazzy, listen, I'm appreciative of your platform even allowing me to come on. So I just want to say once again, thank you for allowing me to share with your platform. And you can catch us, yes, man. You can catch us every Wednesday at 6 p.m. on YouTube and all podcast listening platforms. It is called the Blueprint to Success podcast. It's along with myself, my brother from the same mother, and my brother from another mother, Alexander Hall. And so we talk about the same thing, you know, coming back from setbacks and what it takes to be successful in this life. We talk about it all. We talk about relationships. We talk about marriage. We talk about life. We talk about business, entrepreneurship. We talk about it all because that's a part of all of our life. So check us out every Wednesday, 6 p.m., Blueprint to Success podcast.
I love it. I love it. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate you. Many blessings, many blessings. Have a great Monday. And I will see the Jazzy crew back here on next Monday at 7 p.m. Maybe I won't because that's Christmas, right? I'm not going to see you guys. So I will see you back on New Year's Day on January 1st, 2024. Oh my gosh. Like that's going to be like right around the corner. So I will see you then. Thank you so much for tuning in and you guys have a good night.
Good night.
See you later.